Welcome back to Split the Party. I'm your host, Steve Osmond, and today we are talking about a game that I just recently found, Don't Turn Your Back. It is a really fun game. This will come as no great surprise to you. It's a deck builder. But it's a deck building worker placement game. It's really, the flavor is actually what sold. I got the game for Christmas. I was pretty excited about it. It was something that I'd looked into, but I didn't know a whole lot about it. I read the story, like the flavor text first page of it, and was totally sold. You read the first page of the instruction manual and you want to play this game because just the flavor of what's going on is really awesome. You're essentially insomniacs who have found yourself in this nightmare city, and you are at the beck and call of the Wax King. He's sending you out to curry favors for him. Whoever curries the most favors gets to go back home. Everybody else stays here and will be covered in wax and become a permanent emplacement in his gallery, in his throne room, which sounds awful. So you don't want that to happen. You want to get out. There are up to 4 characters. Mechanically, the characters are exactly the same. I will say that I would like to see in future expansions that they add some differentiation in the characters because the flavor of the game is really cool. On the back of each of these 4 character cards is the story of those individual characters. Really cool. There's nothing to represent that in the game. That's the only thing that I'm missing is a little something to represent the differentiation in the characters. But the game itself plays really, really well. You're building your deck because those are nightmares that live in the nightmare city that you're gaining favors from. So those are the cards that you're putting into your deck. Then you're playing those out on the board in these different locations to gain different favors. And to make them work for you so that you can then build your deck more and hopefully end up with the most candles, which are your victory points at the end of the game, so that the Wax King will like you the best. The locations, you've got the City Slumbering, which is how you actually get currency for buying your own people. The Mother Wen's High School, which along with District 13 are the 2 primary ways of gaining candles. Mother Wen's High School is based on where you're located and how many you've got located. District 13 is based on the laws, and I'll go over the laws a little in the next video. The Bizarre Bazaar is the only one of the locations that actually, when you place a card there, it immediately has an effect. A lot of cards will have a Bizarre service on them. When you place those in the Bizarre Bazaar, you'll immediately take the Bizarre service. And then you've got the Wax Kingdom. The Wax Kingdom serves 2 purposes. One, it allows you to cull cards out of your deck. Every card that you place there at the end of the round goes into the encased pile and is removed from your deck, so you can get rid of the starting cards that you don't want anymore. Also, based on the pain, which is one of the 2 values in the game, based on the pain value of the cards that you have encased, you'll be placed as 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th player, and that will allow you to figure out how you're going to score bonus points at the very end of the game. So you want to be tracking where you're, how you're doing on encasing cards here as you're getting them out of your deck. It's probably the more complicated part of the game. Takes a little bit, a few more playthroughs to master, but there's a lot there. There's a lot of potential candles to be scored in that location, so you don't want to ignore the Wax Kingdom, which makes sense. That's where the Wax King is, that's where he lives, and it's his favor you're trying to curry. The game plays really quickly. I've taught this, every game that I've played, I've taught at least half the players at the table, and every one of them has gone through, and I'd say 30 to 45 minutes, which for a 4-player competitive deck building game is actually, that's pretty good, especially for a teaching game, a learning game. I will go through in the next video. I'm probably not going to do a full playthrough of the game for space and time, but I will go through and kind of explain a little bit more on each of the locations. One of the things that I wanted to talk about right now is just showing you the art style. It's one of the other things that sold me on the game is, it's one of the reasons that I want to pick this up before I had played it. If you look at the art on the board, on the box itself, even just the board here and the flavor text under everything, the art on the cards is just really, it's got that sort of creepy, nightmarish feel to it. It's, the names Roof Rat, Promising Student, Clockwork Deputy, and Faceless. Those are some of the starting cards. As you get further into the game, you've got people like the Smothered Folk, Officer Tok, the Fortune Taker, the Wax King himself, and Mother Wen herself. It's got a really great flavor. This is actually based on a role-playing game called Don't Lose Your Head, I think. It's a really fantastic deck building game. For people who like worker placement games, for people who like deck building games, or for people who like that sort of nightmarish horror feel, this is definitely a pick. This is a game to pick up. I haven't played this with anybody who hasn't enjoyed it, and I think that you will enjoy it if you give it a shot. I think that's about all I've got for now. Like I said, come back next week and I'll show you, I'll go in a little bit more in depth on all the different locations on the board. Okay? I'd like to thank our sponsors, Excelsior Games and Comics, Dual Bus Design, and Sound G Entertainment. And as always, I will see you in the Nerdverse.